Hey Unite, welcome back to your final lesson of maths for this term. In our lesson today we're going to continue on talking about income tax part 2, and we're going to talk about what's a tax debt or what is a tax refund and what does that mean. Okay, so let's jump straight into it. We talked quickly last lesson about at the end of the financial year what happens. So at the end of June 30, all Australians need to lodge what's called their tax return to the Australian Tax Office. Now, it doesn't have to be done straight away if you're doing it by yourself. You have from July till the end of October to submit that. If you're going to have an accountant do that for you, you have a little bit longer to get that handed in. So what is a tax return? Well, a tax return is a document that you submit and it contains in all your financial information for that year. It talks about all of your income that you got and all the different sources of income that you may have had. That's where you list all your allowable deductions. That's where you say, yeah, you know what, I had to use my internet for work this year. I had to go buy a brand new pair of sunglasses for personal protective equipment from working outside. You list all those. Also in that document is your total PAYG, what your employer has put aside for you. And the ATO, it combines all this information and uses those tax tables to determine if you owe more money if you haven't paid enough tax yet, or if you get a refund because you've already paid too much tax. So let's go and have a look at that. Now, so just a reminder before we jump into this that your total tax payable is your income tax plus your Medicare levy. So just remember that. All right, so let's think about this. What is a tax debt? Well, a tax debt is when the total tax payable is more than the PAYG that has been paid for you. If that's the case, that means you owe the government more money. You have a debt to the Australian Tax Office. So you have a tax debt when the total tax payable is greater than the total that you've already paid through PAYG. Now, if that's what a tax debt is, a tax refund is when it's the reverse. A tax refund is when the total tax payable is less than what you have already paid in PAYG. That means the government has more tax than what they should have collected from you, so they're going to give you some of that tax back. You get what's called a tax refund, and we can see that's when our total tax payable is less than what we've paid in PAYG. So let's jump in and look at an example, two examples of that straight away. So let's look at some examples. So example 1, Jodie's tax payable last year was $19,725. She paid $2,817 in PAYG as well that year. Calculate her tax debt or her tax refund. So remembering for a tax debt or refund, we need to figure out which was greater. So remembering that there was $20,817 in PAYG, and the tax payable that we calculated for Jodie, or that was calculated, was $19,725. So if we just get that written down, we need to start to think, well, which one's bigger than the other? And what we can see here is that the tax payable is less than the PAYG. So that means she's already paid $20,000 to the Australian Tax Office when she should have only paid $19,000. So the difference between those two, Jodie's going to receive back here. So Jodie is going to get a tax refund in this situation. So the tax refund in this situation is the difference between those two. 20,817 minus 19,725. And when we evaluate that, we see that Jodie will get a tax return or a tax refund of $1,092, and the Australian Tax Office will put that straight into her bank account for her. Right, example 2 here, year 9. Gabby earned a salary of $204,560. She claimed $10,534 in allowable deductions and paid a total of $72,156 in PAYG tax. We calculate her, and there's a few things that we need to run through. Now, remembering, if we look at some of these questions, they were very similar to what we did last lesson when we calculated income tax. And there you can see the income tax table as well. The only difference here is that in part E, we've then got to make that final step. Does she get a tax refund, or does she owe the government more tax? So jumping into this, her taxable income is $204,560 minus her allowable deductions, and when we do that, we can see her taxable income is $194,026. Now, the income tax, if we were to scroll back up to that table and just zoom in a little bit, $194,000, we can see here that Gabby, she falls into that bottom bracket there, over $180,000. So her taxable income, or her income tax payable, is $51,667 plus 45 cents for every dollar over $180,000. So we're just going to go ahead and substitute those values in. Once we have that, substitute that into our calculator, and we can see that her income tax is $57,978.70. Right, her Medicare levy. Remembering the Medicare levy is 2% of our taxable income, so it's $194,026 times 2%. Right? Evaluating that, we get $3,880.52. Her total tax payable, well, that's income tax plus Medicare levy, so is $57,978.70 plus $3,880.52. When we add those together, part E says, does she get a tax refund or does she have a tax debt? The total tax payable was $61,859. The PAYG was $72,156. Her PAYG was larger than what she should have paid. So because the PAYG is larger, she's going to get a tax refund as well. So a tax refund, and that's just the difference between those two amounts. So Gabby's going to get a tax refund of $10,296.78. All right, year 9. The work for this last lesson, it's the questions below in this worksheet. Again, if you have time at the end of the lesson, complete the 10 quick questions. And as always, make sure you correct your work from the solutions given. Show all your working out, and if you made a mistake, go back into your working out, fix up those errors, rewrite it again correctly, take a photo, upload it to Canvas, and get that all done by 3 p.m. Friday. All right, guys, take it easy. Have a great day.